good morning and welcome.
Yes, good morning.
So, this is Pankaj Das. I am
Mm-hmm.
the founder of legendary real estate hub, and
Yeah.
I have
Mm-hmm.
worked in the industry for 30 plus years along across
Mm-hmm.
different geographical locations in India and the Middle East. A short introduction from you.
Yeah, it's very nice to meet you and wish you all the best. My name is Santha Kumar, and I'm the founder of the MD of SAGAS group of companies. SAGAS group of companies.
Okay,
It's basically a construction company, come real estate and flat promoters. And
correct,
I'm also actively involved in the Builders Association of India.
correct,
And presently, but for the past 2 years, I was the chairman of Southern Center.
right.
Presently, I am the Rera and Real Estate Committee of the South Zone. This is my just a brief history about my background.
Yeah, so nice to hear of you. We are honored and privileged to have you over here. My mission behind what I am doing and why we are today is I am trying to connect with all the owners, all the leaders of the real estate development company, construction company.
Mm,
Because
mm,
what I have observed after my
mm,
interaction with 140 plus companies in India, basically, it is being
mm,
that most of the developers are not being able to deliver projects on time with
mhm,
quality. So that is what I am connecting with everybody, all the industry leaders, and try to
mm,
understand because you run a company for so long years, you must,
mhm,
from your perspective, then
mm,
jointly together have to find some solution because
mm.
we are in a trajectory for being the developed country in the world. Another 25 years, we will be a developed country. So real estate
Sure.
is going to contribute 15 to 20% of India's GDP, approximately $1 trillion next 3 to 7 years.
Yes.
So
Mm,
we have to improve ourselves in all respect. We have to be world class. We cannot be doing
mm,
working the way we are doing, right? So that,
mm. Right.
so before starting this interview, I would like you to share one mistake that you have
Mm,
realized over your 35 plus years of experience that every
mm,
developer must avoid. Just one
mm.
mistake.
See, one thing is, I think you also will agree, changes are inevitable, and changes, we have to accept changes, number one. And the we cannot stick on to the old methods and the old books of thoughts. We have to change ourselves. And presently, there are a lot of various other factors which is evolving in the market. Because of that, the promoters or the flat developers are not able to deliver on time. And the conventional method will hereafter not work. So better to we have to upgrade our technology and use less manpower, because there is a dearth of skilled labors in the market. And
Yeah.
especially if you look in the south,
Mm. Yeah.
nobody wants to do this job because of the white. They think they wanted only white collar jobs. They don't want to do this. There's
Correct.
a huge there's a dearth of labors, and especially skilled labors also. And today we are paying heavily for the skilled labors, because none of the local people, they don't want to come and work there. If you see the present generation, everybody wants to make their children a doctor or an engineer or a computer science, but they do not want to send them to the field and work,
Yeah.
having dust and so many other things. So we are forced to bring, we have to force to invite the North Indians, and thanks to them. But for them, we will not be able to complete the projects on time. I'm very sure about it, especially in the South. If
Mm.
you see everywhere, including textile, hotel, anything, any trading or anywhere, if you see, even now at the individual houses for cooking, we have to require the North Indian, because the local people just not want to work. They wanted a white collar job. That's for
Right.
sure, and they want to educate the children very well and make them a doctor or engineer. So that is the reason, and we are solely dependent on the migrant workers. That is for sure. So that situation, if you want to minimize it, I can't say you cannot totally avoid it. It's impossible because without
Yeah,
them,
yeah.
plastering work or the plumbing work or the electrical work, it is very, very difficult without them to execute the job itself. So today we are solely dependent on them, on the migrant workers, especially from Bihar, what do you call them, West Bengal, Nepal, and Chhattisgarh, and so many other places. But they are very sincere. And the problem is that if you give them OT, they work. They're not, even Sunday they prepare to work. So thereby we're able to complete the project to a certain extent. But that situation, I don't think it will also last long. So we have to solely depend. If you see abroad, if you see in many countries like United States of America, or Singapore, or Western countries, they
Yeah.
mainly have switched on to the entirely on the machineries and the equipment, which will fasten the worker. And you have to use innovative methods for developing the project. That is very, very important. This is the basic thing, and we'll go on further for the detail.
Yeah, you are correct basically. I mean, labor shortage, equipment shortage. Across the country, it's a problem. But
Hmm.
I think one secret behind a successful delivery of a real estate project.
Hmm.
One secret behind the success of a real estate project delivery.
I cannot confine to one's particular reason. The first
Mm.
is what if you see the Germans why have been successful in their industry is because of the planning. Before they execute the building, everything should be planned upfront. Because even if you spend more time on planning, then the entire thing will be successful. The problem is that many of that immediately they want to jump into the start the construction without proper planning. I will not say many of them, most of them they do this mistake,
I
and
totally
they
agree. 99.99% does like this in India.
yes,
Selling
yes,
is 99% correct. I mean, it is
yeah,
Japanese companies. If you work with the Japanese companies, I have worked with them. 70%
mm,
time is being spent on planning. 70%.
yes,
So when before you start the execution, everything
mm,
ensured that you have stock of material for 3 months. Nothing
yes.
is stored, right?
Exactly. That's the Japanese way of working, and they're well equipped with all. There is no demand, and the everything is kept in storage, and the planning is date wise. They execute the planning, and they go according to the weather conditions. Although they forecast the weather, the seasons, and things like that, and they're well equipped with all the entire thing. So that kind of planning is very, very important in our construction. That is very much lacking now, and there are some basically there are some approval delays from our government side also, because
Yeah,
it
yeah.
even they say it's a single window system. The
Mm,
laborious task of satisfying them, getting them approvals, so many other problems, they take a lot of time. Usually generally it takes 1 month. Now even if this latest everything we upload, and we send it through computers and everything is through the software, but still there is a huge delay from the
mm,
government side, because they quote various reasons, because they have a shortage of staff. They have
mm.
they have the process taking of their own time, and so many other problems are there. That is one of the major delays, because the what the promoter is does, it's a huge product, it's a huge project. Immediately he borrows money from the private funding or whatever funding, and then every day the interest counts. So he is urgent, wants to start the project and also deliver the project in time so that they collect. Now, one of the major problem which we come across right now, the main situation is that
Mm.
the usually before, I think before the GST system, the consumers
Yeah,
they really book and they start paying the advances, and 10% or 15%, whatever. Then according to the stages of and progress of construction, they keep on paying the amount. But
yeah,
now what's happening? Once if there is a completion certificate or occupancy certificate of the
yeah,
project which is completed, a
yeah.
GST does not imply. So a person who wants to pay 5% of the GST, which is a huge sum. So
Mm.
nowadays, the property minimum 1 crore or 2 crores or two. See, even if assuming 1 crore,
Yeah.
5% of GST is 5 lakhs. So he
Yes.
does not want to shell out that amount to the
Mm.
government. So what he does, he waits for the project to be completed unless the builder gets the OC or the completion certificates.
Yeah.
Then buys the product without paying the GST. That is one of the major stumbling block practically which the developers are facing. So the developers are the first thing he has to pump and borrow a lot of money for completing the project well before time
Mm.
without depending on the sales of the project. That inflow is lost.
Yeah.
So he has to that inflow of funds is totally lost. So he has to solely depend on the uh, funding or his own funds to complete the project. Once the project is nearing completion, after getting all these necessary statutory obligation, like OC or CC, then it's easy to sell. Until
Yeah.
such time, so the naturally some of the builder, most of the builders, it's a huge money, so they
Mm.
cannot put in all the money, so the project naturally gets delayed.
Correct. Thank you. So, as per the statistics data, only few
Hmm.
developers are following the regulatory compliances of.
Hmm.
So, what is your say in this regard?
You mean one of the few regulatory compliances, is it?
See,
You mean the
regulatory compliances now, I mean, government, after this central government, Modi government came into power from 2014, the
Mhm.
regulatory compliances day by day, it is being tough because tough in the sense means everybody has to comply. Then
Oh,
it is also seen that many of the developers are not, fulfilling the compliance part of it. What do you?
I will not agree on that aspect. Now, maybe
Yeah,
because you're talking about the Real Estate Regulatory Authority, RERA.
Rera.
The RERA compliances, which is very must, and I also welcome it. The reason being, there is a transparency and total transparency in the project, number one.
Okay.
Number two, and there is a committed date of handing over, and also either side the buyer also has to pay on time, and there's a
Yes.
tribunal which you don't
Mm.
have to go straight to the court. You can
Mm.
approach the tribunal if there is any
Mm.
disputes or whatever it is. But RERA is a good thing. Only problem is that why it has been forced to implement is that because many of the developers, what have they done, they have collected in some projects hugely and diverted their funds into different projects. Now
Correct.
that is not now that is not possible because the auditor has to certify this because the 70% of the funds are utilized for the only for construction, which is a
Mm.
welcome move.
Mm.
And every quarterly he has to support the report. He has to completely upload what are the expenses and everything, and there is a escrow account, and there is
Escrow
a total
account.
yeah escrow account, and the buyer also is safe about the RERA Act. The RERA Act is very good, welcome because now everybody is slowly accustoming themselves to use it. Initially, anything, there was a teething problem, which I agree. But now most of the builders, because without RERA registration, you cannot buy the property, which is not possible also.
Even if you cannot sell the property.
Yes, you cannot buy or sell the property. The deal will not take place because
Yeah.
all the bankers are now asked for the RERA number. It
Yeah.
is more than 8 units or whatever it is, depending on the local government. That's a
Right.
welcome move, I think, which we should all adhere to the rules.
So going back, going further, as the world is emerging very fast in terms of technology in real estate industry, many advanced technologies are being used actually by many of the developers. But
Mm.
many of the developers are following the old methods. What do you say about
Mm.
it? This is not
No,
going.
yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Tell me.
See, I fully agree on that particular aspect because in the beginning itself, I very clearly told in the conventional method, people are still following the whole system, which will not work hereafter. And secondly, if you see the growth after the pandemic, this COVID, economy has really taken a, it's improving day by day. And, as you rightly said, Prime Minister Modi will definitely, this 1 trillion is not a task, and I would say. And now, if you really see, in fact, the affordable housing is not much saleable, but at the same time, luxury homes are saleable. A flat
Yes.
which is worth 20 crores, 30 crores flats are in
Mhm.
fact highly demanded and it has been sold within a week itself. Because now people have realized that they want entire comfort like a five-star hotel in the premises. Like, they wanted a spa, they
Mhm.
wanted a beautiful international gym and a meeting hall, and also a theater, which everything compromise. So the expectation of the present generation is very, very high. So the housing sector will definitely take a big boom in India, especially. And if you see from 21 to 22, this particular quarter, it is nearly 25% to 30% of the land prices have been increased. Right?
Yeah.
And there is a huge demand for the land. And now we are very comfortable. Sales is that is not a problem. And real estate is the sector is really doing a great job. And economy is really supporting us. Only thing is that if you see the middle class group or the lower middle income, because of the repo system, the rate of interest has been increased by the RBI.
Yeah.
The affordability of paying from the salaried people is come down slightly. That sales has come down because their interest rates are almost like 8.75 to 9.25%, which is very, very high. And
Correct.
where we have been using for 7 to 7.25%, it is almost 2% high. So that is the one of the reason that the lower middle income and the middle income group are not able to still afford the EMIs from the salary. That should be brought down to a certain extent to help the housing sector.
Yeah, I think this is one of the very good inputs from your side. Correct. So going forward, based on
Mm,
your number of years of experience in the industry, what
mm,
three major factors are responsible for delivering a project on time with world class?
mm,
Three major
mm.
factors.
Okay. If you see the number one thing is that what I told you is the design and the planning is very important before you execute the project. It's very,
Yeah,
very important
very,
because
very
what
important.
happens, there are so many people they keep on changing the designs and so that gets delayed also. So once you decide on the final design and the drawings, that should be freeze and there should be no further no big changes. And also procurement of the some of the basic materials like that
Yeah,
should be there. And allocation of funds for the project to go on time. That is very, very a major factor. And also the main thing is that you have a weekly team meeting. Team meeting
mm,
is very, very important because unless the team coordination is there, it's very difficult for you to execute the whole thing. And a practical schedule should be drawn out. And also, you should also engage right people for the right job. That is very important. And you should have a very good site engineer who's very knowledgeable in the executing the project, who can execute the project on time. Half-baked knowledge will not serve the purpose. And also weather forecast also, depending on some of the states, you have a rainy season and so on. So that planning also should be definitely taken into account. And realistic goals, ultimately the realistic goals, practical realistic goals should be put into paper and then executed. And if these things are considered, I think it's very easy to execute the
correct, correct. Yeah.
delivery time. Yeah.
I think you have given the very practical inputs.
Yes.
Going forward, can you
Mm.
share three breakthroughs you got being in the industry for 35, 40 years, whatever? Three breakthroughs during your entire career in the industry.
Yeah, three breakthroughs which I'm not able to implement. You're right.
No, three breakthroughs you
Uh,
from your entire experience of the 35, 40 years, whatever. So, what
mm.
three breakthroughs?
See, three breakthroughs is that if you're asking me as a promoter, number one, the uh, the location of the site is very important.
Yeah, yeah,
Also, your initial market survey is very, very important. You cannot jump into any area. You
yeah,
should also assess the market and also be very competitive on the pricing also, because there are some factors which, for example, there is a main road.
mm,
On the main road abutting, which is more than 60 feet or 80 feet, you get, you get more FSI,
mm,
the like, 4.5 times or something. The same thing behind the same main street, you might get around only 2 FSI. So you have to compete with that market. So proper market study to compete that particular high-rise buildings also is
mm,
very necessary, and also practical thinking of assessing the entire market and also the soil conditions and the nature of the particular land, which is very very important. Also, main thing which I would like to focus is that before entering anything, the legality is very very important. Many people get into the entanglement where they are not able to proceed further. Each state has got different rules regarding the
yes,
CRZ rules and the water bodies and so many other rules. So
yeah,
that you should definitely have a proper professional advisor for you before any before purchasing the land, whether
mm,
that will suitably you will whether you can achieve the FSI by getting the particular land, and the cost factor should be determined so that taking into inflation the other rates. These three things are looked into carefully. Then I think there is no break.
fair enough, fair enough. I think you have been very practical in answering the questions. Last but not the least, one message for the audience who belong to the real estate industry. One particular message, single line statement.
You mean for the audience or for the
For the audience,
promoters?
I mean audience means real estate developers. What they should.
Yes. A real estate developer, I'm telling you, everything should be looked on a long range planning. Okay. If you want to stay in the industry, number one, of course, everybody has to make profit, but at the same time, you should not adopt the shortcut methods. That I think that because it will immediately you will show off your color and it will be out of the market. If people know that you are genuine and if you're able to deliver it on time, because timely delivery is one of the very important factor many purchasers look into it. So that particular thing, even it might be you can delay it in 6 months, but when you're committing the time to a buyer, you say, okay, I'll give instead of September, you say I'll give next March, no problem. But you should keep up your time. That is very, very important. So timely deliver, and secondly, quality is very, very important because nobody knows what is inside the before plastering inside the building. So that is very important quality, and the main factor which the promoter has to do has to have the cost cutting, which is very very important because many people they fail because of the cost cutting because they do not know what they are going to what is the planning, how many tons of steel may be required. Each building varies because depending on the clay conditions you might have to use more steel, and so many other factors are there. So that first initially you have to take the cost factor, legal, and also timely delivery and quality conscious is definitely is very important because that will speak at the end of the while delivering the product.
I think very correct. I mean, very few of the developers talk like this, the way you say, on a long-term basis.
Hmm.
On a long-term basis, the timely completion and committed quality must be adhered to because we can
100,
afford to cheat the
100%.
customers, right?
Because you should definitely keep it in mind.
Yeah,
You should keep it in mind that the purchaser maybe of his hard-earned money, he must be
yeah,
buying one time a house or whatever it is. If the hard-earned money of the savings, you
yeah.
should never deprive of his rights. He has got full trust, and this entire transaction moves on trust. So you should do it in a proper method. Give it on time. At the same time, quality is very important.
Yeah, yeah. I think thank you so much. You have been pretty open, and if we can stick to these things, I think we'll be at par what we're looking at, right? Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Pankaj.